First off, I just want to say sorry for the wait. I have no good excuse for not having this episode done sooner. This is scheduled to be our special mental health episode, but one of our guests got sick and had to cancel the morning before we went to studio. I quickly threw together an episode, got Randy Tyson from the Legion of Reason podcast, a former panel member, JT, and regular panel member, Rene, to come out anyway, instead of canceling altogether. Because of the lateness of the release, a few of our topics are really old. Hope you can still find some relevance in what we're saying, and I hope you enjoy it.
We can say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Amen, brother.
Well, you know me, I don't buy it to BS.
I get paid to sign it.
I don't fit into human nature.
Do not come here, not come marry here.
What the hell was my point?
Welcome to Brainstorm, the home of hardcore skepticism. Woo-free since 2013. These skeptical atheists started a podcast to help spread critical thinking, skepticism, and some philosophic and scientific literacy. Host Corey is joined by Lana, Destin, Brad, Mike, Rene, and Dave as they discuss news, politics, science, philosophy, and religion in a fun and intelligent way. And now it's time to open your mind to The Brainstorm.
You have had quite a bit of business stuff going on your Facebook page lately.
Oh, do you really want to go there?
I don't know. I don't know if we really want to go there.
You really want to go there? That's a hell of a shirt storm.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I knew it was going to happen. I just got fed up.
Yeah.
I just got fed up. And people saying things with the assumption that everybody was going to agree.
Right.
And I just don't.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know if you know what I mentioned with Greta Christina.
Yes.
And I tried to tell her that, and she literally said, "I could not believe this. I love it when a man tries to tell when a man tries to tell women what they should be criticizing." And I'm just like, how fucking sexist can you get? Not every woman agrees with Greta Christina either. So
No, there's actually
what did she say then? I mean, Ayaan Hirsi Ali came out yesterday and called these people. Now, I would not do this. Only she can get away with it. Idiot women.
She was pretty harsh, eh?
It's very harsh. That this is trivial bullshit, and she's right. It is. It is petty, trivial, and completely paints feminism in a light that is. Why would you want to get involved in feminism if this is going to be the hill that they're going to die on? Yeah,
well, I've kind of been.
Sorry, that's not a hill. It's a molehill.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
yes. Sexism happens in the sciences and engineering, especially engineering. I can't say I've ever witnessed it. Having had a life in science, but then again, I've been in institutions which aren't what you wouldn't call private sector. So private sector is more of the problem than public sector. Because hiring practices in the public sector are much more controlled,
right?
In terms of who you hire, and if you and I agree with if you've got two candidates that are equal, you should hire the demographic which is less represented,
for sure.
Whether it's women or visible minorities,
right? Yeah,
and
for sure. Equal people, you give the benefit to the person who's already at a disadvantage, right?
Exactly, and that's the way it should be. Public sector, private sector, not so much. And I'm sure there's a lot of problems there. But I just don't agree that this was sexism. I really don't.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a fan of
for the workplace.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
This shirt is inappropriate for the workplace, but you know,
I'm personally a big fan of pinup art, so it's. I thought it was quite innocuous, but
I like Varga, or what's his name, Vargas.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, no, it doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you should look him up. He was an artist, pinup artist, in World War II. And the cards used one of his pinups. Or not a pinup, but they actually got Vargas to do the artwork for Candy O.
Okay.
He did the album cover for that.
That's cool.
But, you know, people have forgotten that the person who made this shirt was a woman who had no problem with it, obviously.
Obviously.
My wife has threatened to go out and find the material and make me one of these shirts.
Right.
So the idea that it's just men who have no problem with this is garbage.
I thought it was interesting. You made a good point when you were talking on your Facebook page about how nobody seems to be asking his female coworkers.
Yeah,
about
nobody has
how they feel about it. If one of them were to feel threatened by this or feel like somehow,
they can actually say something. And
right.
You know what? Okay, I will not wear the shirt tomorrow. I shouldn't have worn it on TV.
You should.
This is what you see on the news when somebody who knows they're going to be on TV is wearing some trailer trash shirt.
Right.
And it happens so often. People don't realize that their appearances are just they do matter.
Yeah.
But somebody could have, their HR department could, probably would have had something to say on this, and fine. I just don't find it an explicitly sexist act.
I don't think that was his intent.
No, absolutely not. Nobody's saying. Actually, no one is saying it is.
Right.
And fine. My problem is that some of the feminist community has come out and literally bullied this man. It's a nice form of bullying, but it's still bullying. Like, I mean, yeah, we know you're not a sexist, but okay, whatever happens after the but, is going to be describing how this person was sexist.
I'm not a racist, but
yeah, I'm not a racist. Same exact thing. And so,
yeah,
it's a form of bullying. And now all of a sudden they say, "Oh, he's apologized. We can move on." I'm like, no, he can move on. You and I got to talk. And that was my problem. You've just diminished a massive accomplishment. You're basically this probe took a 10-year journey. You had to simulate how it was going to get there over 10 years using incredibly precise calculations, and they put this thing on something that has incredibly small microgravity, and you're going to concentrate on his shirt. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How petty can you get? And you try and tell these people that, and it's petty feminism. It's cult feminism, I call it, because it is a dogma. It brooks no disagreement. So, where was I going with this?
The cultish feminism.
The cultish factor. Yeah, the cultish thing about it. I actually ticked off every box, every characteristic, bang, 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 on this form of feminism. And it definitely is a cult. And I didn't, the original idea that this was a cult was actually from Christine.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm like, hey, let's test this out. So I went and looked up the characteristics of a cult, and sure enough, absolutely every tick mark was bang on.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Yeah, the whole thing started with the argument that because the rate or the incidence of false accusations of sexual harassment or rape. Let's just stick to rape, because probably sexual harassment is probably a bit more on the false side. Not by much, but it skews the statistics a bit. Excuse me. So we should actually take those claims to rape to be true until proven otherwise, which is what's called the ecological fallacy. It's taking broad statistics on and then applying them to a single instance. And you cannot do that. It's a logical fallacy. It may be true, but it doesn't follow. It's not a valid conclusion until you've actually looked at the evidence for that individual claim, especially when you're talking about social demographics, because they're very messy. How much do you know about the Melody Hensley incident in the U.S.?
Almost nothing.
Okay, Melody Hensley is the head of CFI Washington, D.C. And she, well Peter Boghossian, whom I'm sure you know, questioned her claim to post-traumatic stress disorder from social media. And I do too.
Yeah.
Because she's always on social media. it's kind of like, it's not like when a therapist suggests to somebody who's gotten PTSD from a car accident to get back in the car. This is more like telling them to become a crash test dummy.
Right.
I have a problem with this claim. And so she got very upset about this, and she tends to do this. This is her modus operandi. And she basically tried to blacklist Peter Boghossian from speaking anywhere in CFI.
Okay.
Now that is there's two problems I have with this. One, she is abusing her authority as head of Washington, D.C. CFI, basically over a personal matter, trying to blacklist somebody. I've already got a problem with that. Two, she's actually trying to do it for all of CFI and overstepping our authority completely.
Right.
And I'm asking for her head, at the very least, a severe reprimand. And I actually think she got reprimanded. CFI came out and said, no, this is a decision which happens at the national level. Melody Hensley can't do that. And so that's a slap on the wrist. And I'm satisfied with that. Oh, they're not supporting Melody Hensley. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why should they be supporting her? She made that impossible.
Right.
You know, they can't come down on Peter Boghossian because she's actually tried to abuse her position.
I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood what part of feminism was, but I thought they were supposed to be empowered by their sexuality as well. Like it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. Michael Chopa put that picture of Matt Taylor wearing a shirt covered with that Kim Kardashian.
Right.
You know, which was supposed to be, it's empowerment. This is a shirt of empowerment. Yeah, it is double standard. Well, I admit that context matters.
For sure.
Not that much. If it's empowerment in one case, why can't a man celebrate that empowerment by putting it on a shirt? Why not? Just
Perfectly
because it's a man's
question.
thing?
That's a very valid question.
Right?
Yeah, we're just gabbing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, kind of gets into that whole area of like when you get between two people, one group, if they're the same group, then that's okay. But someone outside that group, that's bad.
Like,
we're
amongst black people, we can't say it, and I don't have a problem not saying it.
Well, no, it would never be a word that
it is a derogatory term.
Yeah,
right.
No question. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is like that. Sometimes that makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't think it does in this case. This person Matt Taylor had no idea. I love the fact that it made no impression on Matt Taylor at all. I love that. He doesn't see it as sexist at all.
Yeah,
and it's comes down to perception. And somebody else finds it offensive, and of course, you know what Stephen Fry had to say about offense.
Yes,
I love
and a quote that I absolutely love, and it comes down to making Matt Taylor responsible for somebody else's perception, and you don't get to make somebody else responsible for your own. Actually, it's like that preacher in Florida that burned those Korans.
Oh, yep.
Is the violent response of Muslims, which is predictable, is that preacher responsible for it? And absolutely not.
No, they're responsible for their reactions.
For their own reactions, regardless of how predictable it was.
I don't know if I can open up the floor. I'll touch on because I sort of overheard a little bit while I was listening in on the discussion here. But a little bit on what we were talking about, back to the feminism thing, and as podcasters, and people that stand on soapboxes and wax philosophical about such things.
And bitch.
Right? And bitch. And moan. And do you not find it exhausting to have to constantly identify your biases? Do you not find... I'm getting into the thing that we talked about at supper.
Yeah, at supper.
This feminist
I am
thing.
fully objective. I have no bias.
Right. Perfect. Well, that solves that. See you next week.
I think the last...
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last person I thought I think I heard say that was Cenk Younger on the Young Turks.
Yeah.
Regarding the only person who's objective about Muslims is me.
I kind of think he was kind of tongue in cheek on that one, but yeah.
Reza Aslan, the only person who can speak for Islam.
Yeah, that's
what an asshole. God, I hate that guy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
He's a dick.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I love that.
I don't know. In that debate, there are a lot of dicks. Let's face facts.
There's a lot of dicks out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Well, anything to do with Fox News. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty much have a concentration of dicks.
But yeah,
it's a sausage
That
fest.
should be their slogan. Fox News. A concentration of dicks.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd wear that on a shirt.
Yeah.
That's a bumper sticker
Suddenly
right
you
there.
have everybody advertising for Fox News.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have our own, right? We got Sun News up here.
Well, they're just Fox North.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's Fox News.
It's not as bad because, of course, we have the law that, by the way, you can't lie about the news.
Yeah.
If it's 50% true, you're okay.
Yeah.
You just can't out and out lie.
Ezra Levant, I mean, he's a true dick.
Oh yeah, for
What
sure.
an asshole. I mean, the whole thing with Justin Trudeau was just disgusting. I'm like, oh.
He really
Just a bride, and you make a big thing about it. What?
Yeah.
If that's the worst thing he does in the next 10 years, wow, he's going to make an awesome prime minister. You know,
I just saw, I don't know if they're real, but I just saw a bunch of buttons saying October 2015, Harper's last day as PM.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, no shit.
There's going to be an early election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be an early election because he doesn't want to wait around for some things to come home to roost.
Well, I think it's getting already too late, though, isn't it? Like a lot of this stuff is.
Well, you know, there's this fatigue with a particular party that always happens,
Right.
you know, and it's happening a little earlier to Harper than it would to somebody who's less of a dick.
Well, I think with Harper, it's what you had is right. He had two minority governments, and so he had to keep everything kind of on the down low because they were in minority. But now that he's majority, the nuts are out. They're just like they're just going.
He's just whipping it out.
Yeah,
Full force dick.
Right.
His dick's out there.
Yeah.
You know, and you guys got to understand. He's my MP.
Yeah.
Imagine my consternation at voting time. And every time I go, I'm thinking, who am I going to vote for? And like, what the hell does it matter? Everybody's going to vote for this guy. It really doesn't. My vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, I suppose.
I vote anyway.
Yeah.
I vote anyway, but I know it's a throwaway.
That's too bad. Well,
There's a book out there right now on him. I can't remember what the name of it is. Let me look it up. It's a really interesting read.
we regularly, every episode we have a Fuck Harper segment. So
Party of One. Yeah.
Party of one.
Party
Party
of One.
of
It's called
One.
by
Yeah.
Michael Terrence.
Okay.
It's a very good, interesting take on how he came to power and how he manages his government. And
I've always got
it's the most, even though he's said in the past that transparency in government is incredibly important, this is the most opaque government in history of Canada.
Yeah. He's got a lot to hide, though. So
he doesn't practice what he preaches. Well, what he used to preach anyway.
I always think he runs Canada like he's the CEO of the Corporation of Canada. Like
And that wouldn't be inaccurate, yeah. That's very much like it is. I'm really worried about Medicare.
Right.
I'm worried about a lot of things. I'm certainly worried about science. Same.
Yep. Have you seen the Rick Mercer rant on that now?
Last week, I was looking at my Facebook feed when my friend updated his status to read, 1 hour ago, humanity successfully landed a spacecraft on a slowly tumbling mountain of ice and rock. Let's celebrate. It was a nice break from your classic updates such as, I'm eating pizza or my cat is possessed. Since then, like so many people, I've become obsessed with what a group of European science geeks have been up to in outer space. The numbers alone make my brain hurt. They landed a spacecraft on a comet that is 500 million kilometers away. It took 10 years to get there, and the comet is moving at 135,000 kilometers an hour. Think of it. For thousands of years, people trembled in fear when a comet appeared in our sky, and now, in 2014, we have visited one. What an astounding thing humanity has accomplished, all in the name of pure science. And my God, how smart must the men and women be who pulled this thing off? And how sad that here on Earth, or at least on our little part of it in Canada, that pure science is no longer encouraged. We have a government that not only abolished the office of the National Science Advisor, but they bragged about it. In Canada, the only time you hear about scientists now is when they're being told to shut up or they're being shut down by a government who can't even begin to understand what the scientists are talking about. I don't know much about science, but I know this. They didn't land a spaceship on a comet using anecdotal evidence, and they didn't calibrate the rate of descent using focus groups. Canadians, we get excited about pure science. Canadians, we are as passionate and as curious as anyone else. It's our government that begs to differ.
Yes, I did. And boy, he's had more than just that one on science. And and this is where it kind of dovetails in with my life, in that I used to be one of those federal scientists that was on the payroll in National Research Council.
Right.
And we, 2 years ago, we came into the office. We knew this was coming. The person at the podium said, good news is that the budget has only been decreased by 2%. The bad news is that 100% of you are now unemployed.
Right.
So I was in the medical imaging group in National Research Council, NRC, and apparently the whole idea was that we couldn't compete with the big companies in terms of development in MRI and that kind of technology. And my first thought was, when were we competing with them? We were actually working with the large companies to bring technology to commercialize technology. And yeah, it was not a fun day. and everybody was gone.
That's insane.
It is a form of insanity. It's trying to make science work for industry. And development can, but without blue sky, you have nothing to develop for industry. There's two different things. There's blue sky research, and then there's technology implementation. And taking that original blue sky stuff and commercializing it. There's two different things.
For sure.
And the idea is that the government would do that, the technological development side, and universities would do the basic research. But the problem is, university professors who apply for research grants can't see, because of the way things are set up, back past their next grant, which is 3 years down the road. And a lot of these larger projects do take a lot longer than 3 years. So leadership by government is very important, and Canada is the only country in the developed world that doesn't have a national, federally supported institution that does blue sky research anymore.
Yeah.
So that should Germany has a great model. United States, of course, has the national labs. I worked at Argonne National Laboratory. It's a great place.
The more I don't know, the more I hear about it, the more I think about it, the more embarrassed I am about our current state of government support for science.
Well, we shouldn't be embarrassed about it. We should strive for change.
Well, that's just it, and that's what that.
That's a motivation.
Yeah,
it's a motivation to fix it.
There's actually, I guess we haven't plugged it in a while. It's the Evidence for Democracy movement.
Yeah,
they really deserve a good shout out. They are trying to promote science and promote change in the government. Well,
recently. Concerned scientists sent a letter to Stephen Harper demanding that he alter his course.
Right.
And they had 800 scientists from 32 different countries sign this letter.
Right.
And so the world knows.
Yeah,
whether or not Stephen Harper cares, I don't know.
I don't suspect he does, but that's
Gary Goodyear, who was my boss ultimately. Who was the Minister for Science, Industry, and Technology, is a young Earth creationist chiropractor. I mean, that isn't like being unqualified. That's anti-qualified for your position. It's the absolute last person you wouldn't select him, even if it was the last person.
No, that's right.
You'd be better off with no one in the position.
That's terrible.
So, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Amazing, this government. So, yeah.
That's the worst.
It's not a science-friendly government.
No.
But I love Rick Mercer. At the time, it kind of was a little bit painful, but Rick Mercer had a little thing where ex-scientists from NRC could go work at Rona, and you can measure your lumber to the actual micrometer. Because it was, you got to look this up because it was absolutely hilarious. It was really well done. It was still a little painful at the time, but it was good. But it made a point. So he's actually a big supporter of science in Canada.
For sure.
It is a great rant about,
it is.
The Europeans are doing such wonderful work getting Philae onto that comet.
For sure.
And what are we doing? I don't know.
Still denying climate change.
We built an arm once upon a time.
We did once.
That's a hell of an arm.
Scientists from saying anything about climate change or fisheries or whatever. Dismantling science in this country. I mean, the experimental lakes area in Ontario was only saved because the Ontario government realized its importance and picked up the slack.
Yeah.
Mind you,
it's terrible.
Been all those ads right now from the Canadian government about marijuana use or whatever.
Oh Jesus!
So awful.
I think Harper wants to. He wishes for the early '80s. I think is what it is.
50s.
Maybe 50s. Yeah, it was a little bit more. It was definitely more reefer madness, but
very reefer madness. Ridiculous. And it's like, alcohol has far more health effects than marijuana.
Yeah.
Wow. You just,
Well, just look at the nut house that Colorado has turned into. I mean, it's practically the apocalypse down there.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
a mellow nutness, but very mellow.
Mellow-apocalypse, yeah.
I have an admission. I have never smoked marijuana in my life. It's not because of some moralizing crap, because that's what it would be if I said, no, you shouldn't smoke marijuana. It's just because I've never had the opportunity.
If you like the Brainstorm Podcast and want to get more of it, you can go to patreon.com/brainstormpodcast for bonus material, early ad-free episodes, and a shout-out in the next episode. Special Brainstorm gear bonuses for different Patreon levels available. You can get your own Brainstorm shirts, mugs, and lots more from cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcast gear. Thanks for your support. I'd also like to tell you about reasonistproducts.com. T-shirts and hoodies with science, reason, and atheist themes. They've got good prices and offer a buy one get one free deal with the coupon code BRAINSTORM. For a limited time, they're also offering a free t-shirt to Brainstorm listeners. Be the first person to tweet the word brainstorm to them at Reasonist Products with no vowels in the word products. That's at Reasonist, PRDCTS, reasonistproducts.com.
I'm usually at my best when there's no one around. Right. And I'm not doing a podcast. Yep. Because, I grew up on a farm, and I ended up talking to myself because I had only myself to entertain myself.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, and that's how I got into science. I mean, I had nothing better to do.
Okay, yeah.
I was big into ornithology back when I was a kid. I still love birding. I was big into chemistry. One of the most important things that ever happened in my life was getting a chemistry set.
Right.
And that moved me into the area of chemistry, and oddly enough, I ended up doing medical physics. It's not as odd as people might think, but even medical physicists think it's odd. It's not.
Right.
Doing MRI is actually an invention by chemists. It was not an invention by medical physicists.
Okay.
So it's not so strange. But yeah, it was a great rant. I loved it. I applaud Rick Mercer for sure, as I usually do.
I think at least two of my topics for this one were anti-Harper and his anti-science.
Oh,
so
you are to Harper as I am to the Vatican.
Right. Yeah.
I can't go a week without having a couple stories Vatican related.
That's a reasonable position to take. The anti-Vatican position is a good one.
It's just so important in this country because there's so many Roman Catholics here that call themselves Roman Catholics and aren't. I wish they'd get over themselves and stop calling themselves Roman Catholics. I mean, if you're a cultural Roman Catholic, stop calling yourself that.
Right.
Just give it up. If you take birth control, you're not a Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Our regular panel member, Gumby, or Destin, he's got quite a
chip on the shoulder for Roman Catholicism?
Well, for this Pope John Paul Day that is an official day now. Like, he's really
he really has a chip on his shoulder about it.
He really dislikes that. And
I'm no fan of.
I can't disagree with him.
Well, we got our own Bishop, Fred Henry.
Right.
I almost went into his nickname.
Yeah.
I suppose I could here. You can always bleep me.
Oh, no, we don't bleep nothing.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
Yeah.
I've never, ever heard him open his mouth on social issues and agreed with the guy.
Right, eh?
Ever, 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 ever. And I predict that will continue.
Well, it's always good to have a nemesis.
It just amazes me that people listen to this guy. Why?
It's so backwards, eh?
Worse, the media goes to this guy, right? So, I mean, when Body Worlds came to town, Body Worlds with the plasticized human beings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it came to town a few years ago, and for some strange reason, news media went to Fred Henry, who says, "Oh, this is blah blah blah, terrible, terrible, terrible." Wow. I actually want to give up my body for plasticization.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it'd be
I'm on board. I'm on board with that.
I don't know. I find it funny because didn't the Catholic Church used to traffic in artifacts? Like, here's the knuckle of this saint, and
the penis of Christopher Columbus.
Yeah,
that is a thing.
That's a thing?
I did not know they brought that thing around.
It's an article of worship.
Where it is. I think it's in Spain. Yeah, it's an artifact.
Yeah, that's the difference. If you try to study it scientifically, that's not okay.
That's not okay.
However, you say you speak origins
I'm not
to
that
it.
much of a scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you pray to it, it's okay. But if you study it, no.
Put that notebook down.
No measurements. No measurements.
No measurements.
In the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Like, really morbid. Amazing.
Yeah, you really don't like the new Pope, hey?
Well,
lots of people are really.
No, it's not so much that I don't dislike him any more than any of the other popes. What I dislike is this strange look from the media that all of a sudden this guy is cool.
Right. The idea that he's
And
somehow different.
There's nothing different. He hasn't said anything different. There's been a different take. And people have, I think, mistakenly read into some of his statements things that are not there.
I think it's because he's way more personable than the guy before him.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, it's a comparison, but
I don't know. I'm drawing parallels between him and Buddy Christ.
That's part of it. That
Buddy Christ.
He has done some work towards eliminating bishops that are hiding pedophilia, but it's really not enough, and it's kind of iffy.
Well, I don't know. With all the backlash he got from his statements about homosexuality, I'm wondering if, even though the infallibility of the Pope, I think he gets a lot more backlash than...
Well, that's the problem with the infallibility of the Pope. They backed themselves into a corner.
Right, eh? Yeah. If he says something they don't like.
They literally can't come out.
Yeah.
They can't come out of the closet. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still fully expecting a bottle of whiskey from Chris.
Right.
She knows it. She knows, this is the whole bet that by February 24th of next year, there will be no change in position in significant change in position.
Yeah, no official changes.
Not going to happen.
Yeah,
never going to happen. I think that she fell for the PR of the Pope or Vatican PR machine, and I think that like the same thing with Mother Teresa. That's the Vatican PR machine.
Yeah, for sure. That's you still hear about that all the time. How awesome she was.
And they hold her up as this paragon of virtue when she was actually a real bag. She was a rotten person.
For sure.
Yeah, but isn't their whole MO is ignoring things that they don't like?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They just ignore it.
Completely overlooking it.
Yeah. Yeah, because
you need to maintain the image.
You can't be homophobic and then also hide the molestation of little boys. It's
inconsistent.
It is incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Well, just like anything, there's always inconsistencies. There's always exceptions, and
I don't know. The joke is always here's a bunch of guys in flowery robes talking about the sins of being homosexual.
Yeah.
There's that catch-22.
Yeah.
Well, in Rome there was a whole homosexual group that was doing the nightclubs and stuff. They were priests, of course. It was almost a brothel. And it was interesting when that hit the news media.
Homosexual priest brothel.
The hypocrisy of the church is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's been going on for centuries.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that people still don't notice or don't pay attention to it. Don't realize
they don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that? Hear no evil, see no evil.
Yeah.
Speak no evil.
How does anybody reasonable self-identify as Catholic still? I just don't understand.
That's where the word moderate comes in. We've talked about this quite a bit.
It does. It does get into gets into icky things of family pressure and cultural identity, and sometimes you do it because you just kind of have to do it.
Just cause, eh?
Yep.
I don't know. I've never been one that did that, so I don't.
Well, you don't have the family that would pressure you into it, right?
Yeah.
As far as my grandparents are concerned, I'm dropping the mic. As far as my grandparents are concerned, I love Jesus. He's just.
Maybe I have an advantage with my grandparents being dead.
Yeah, no, they've been on pilgrimage. I have holy water from the Vatican in a fridge.
Is that right?
In my house.
Wow.
Yep.
I bet that would go great with scotch.
I'm sure it would. It would break the tension of the sin.
Yeah.
Jeez.
When I was looking for relationships, religion was a deal breaker.
Yeah. Yep.
It was an absolute deal breaker. there are people that can make it work. I know people who are ex-Mormon, and their wives are still Mormon.
Right.
They somehow can do it. I don't know how they do it.
Well, because
it's a respect thing for me. I just can't respect somebody.
Isn't somebody who's still Mormon supposed to like shun somebody who's ex-Mormon?
Not necessarily.
I'm not sure about Mormonism. Like Jehovah's Witness for sure.
I don't know. Mormons are pretty strict.
They can be, but I think you're thinking more Amish. That's when it really gets into the shaming. But then again, with Mormons, it doesn't matter. They'll have you baptized after you're dead.
After you're dead. That's right.
After you're dead, they'll bring you into the eternal family.
Yeah.
How disrespectful is that?
No kidding, eh?
I mean, it doesn't have any real effect. I know, but you know what?
Yeah,
it's
not
just
that I'm going to care.
Disrespect the person.
Not that I'd care.
That'd be the one time you get to prove the afterlife when all of a sudden you rematerialize and go, no, screw you. You're not baptizing me that way.
So you're standing at the Muslim pearly gates, and suddenly you get Mormon baptized.
Damn it.
Well, I guess it's whatever the equivalent of limbo is.
Yeah,
purgatory
or whatever.
Whichever myth you believe.
Whatever nonsensical bullshit.
Yeah. So, I guess I have a topic here.
Ooh, a topic.
Yes.
I like those.
No.
Since we're talking about religion, 6 ways religion does more bad than good from Alternet.
It's only 6?
Well,
they condensed the hell out of that list.
They listed 6.
They listed 6.
The guy had a word limit, okay?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Number 1, religion promotes tribalism.
Guilty.
Yeah, and absolutely.
That's a discussion.
I'll put an asterisk on.
I love the tribalism discussion.
Yeah, I'll put an asterisk on this one. I read the article. I'm like, I don't disagree with it, but it's very, instead of religion in the broadest sense, it's very
specific religion.
It's very the big 3 centric.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had issues with it.
There's different levels because you have, at one level, it's believers versus non-believers, and then you have believers, like the 3 big ones, as you say, and we're just going to discuss those because that's the way the demographics are in this country. The other one is between sects within each one of those big 3.
Right. That always breaks down.
Orthodox Jews versus non-Orthodox Jews,
Hasidic and
Baptists versus Unitarians, Sunnis versus Wahhabis,
and Shias. Yeah,
they're not all that nice to each other either.
No, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always said that there's nothing that unifies religion. If you've got a room full of religious people of varying religions, nothing unifies them more than an atheist walking into the room.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we always define ourselves versus the other, and that's kind of where I think the tribalism comes in. Like, I mean, I don't disagree with it, but the tone, I don't agree with the tone.
I'm just slowly becoming aism.
Aism?
Aism. Not even just theism, just
anti-ism.
Just anti-ism. Because that same sort of fracturing and segmenting happens in this is what we were talking about, in movements.
Every movement.
Because there's the part of feminism that I like, and then there's the extremist part of feminism.
Oh, but
that
you're a
doesn't
man.
agree with but I can't actually be a feminist because I'm a man.
But it happens. It happens in other things. Just think about how
you can be a feminist if you're a man. You can be a feminist if you're a man. You just have to nod in agreement.
Right. I can't ever question or criticize
that's what really bugs
whatsoever. But it's the same thing with sports teams and where you live. And the rant that I went on identified this is if I have to identify myself as all of the things that I am, I will run out of life before I run out of categories that I fit in. Yep. Because we're so fragmented searching for identity, but I don't want to get this all philosophical. I want you to read the next point.
We're not drunk enough for philosophy.
You make a good point.
Well, I've come early then.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, religion anchors believers to the Iron Age.
That's because there's been nothing new since.
Unless you're a Scientologist.
No, that's true.
That's right.
A bit new.
Well, God stopped talking around the Iron Age.
Yeah, I would agree with that because it's worse than that. It anchors us to a morality that is Iron Age. I mean, it's very telling that religions are exempted from human rights legislation. What does that say about religions?
Right. Yeah, how does that even happen?
Well, because most people are religious. That's why. It's that simple. You don't want to piss off everybody that's religious. Oh, yeah, we shouldn't discriminate on the basis of gender or sexual orientation, except for the religious.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, eh?
For religions, I should say, not the religious. The religious still have to adhere to HRA stuff, but it's when religions are the last bastion of bigotry.
Yes.
That where it's still legal.
It's still acceptable. Yeah, it's still considered acceptable.
You can't, if you're gay, you can't get married in an RC church. I don't know why.
It's considered bigotry to not be religious.
Right. Yeah, just the act of not
We're
believing.
considered bigots as non-religious people.
Yeah.
Because we attack religion. Well, it's because we attack religion.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem is I think religion is harmful. Which, okay, you're never going to get me to disagree with this article.
Yeah.
I think there's more ways, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What do we got? I got number 3 is religion makes a virtue out of faith. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Faith is the worst thing to call a virtue.
For sure.
Absolutely the worst thing. When reason and evidence are thrown out in favor of something where there is relying on no evidence, or in fact, actually relying on belief regardless of contradictory evidence, that's not a virtue in my book. That is gullibility, credulity, and just plain foolishness.
Yeah, it's actually, like you say, the opposite of a virtue, for sure.
Yeah, that was the greatest coup of religion, was making it a virtue. And we have to actually take, epistemologically, we should be saying, how do you know? Well, you just have to have faith. Wrong. How do you know?
That's one of those things that I listen to a lot of debates, right? And one of those things that I always screaming at the radio or screaming at the YouTube channel is, how do you know that? How do you know that? Why doesn't the person debating them just say, how do you know that? Because it beats every single claim.
Well, because I have faith.
Well, they don't want to look like a dick.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
I think we
don't
have a
want to
problem.
look like a dick in the debate. I have no problems with looking like a dick.
Yeah,
if I can get my point across, you can think whatever you want of me.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
How do you know that question?
I was actually watching like a Supernatural marathon the other day, and there was a line in it, but I can't quite remember what it was, about how your cynicism can't, trump my faith. And it's like, lady, do you realize you're, on the show, you're talking to a fallen angel? So,
Wait a sec.
Yeah, your faith kind of falls a little hollow here in this fictional world.
My skepticism will trump somebody's faith.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in real life, absolutely.
It's unequivocal.
Yeah.
I think faith is a folly.
Yes.
Number 4. Religion diverts generous impulses and good intentions. I like this one because the first line is, feeling sad about Haiti? Give to our mega church. And that's kind of the whole idea behind giving to churches, right? Like,
yeah. Give to our megachurch so that we can pray to God to undid what he did, which was part of his master plan, which we believe completely.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Bibles as aid. When I actually give money to organizations, it's, like Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, or International Red Cross, that are transparent. These are charities that are transparent on their financial statements. Churches tend to be very, very opaque. Most religious charities are very opaque. They don't have a good view.
Right.
You don't get a good view as to their finances, how that money is used, what's their overhead. It's a big problem. I look for secular charities when I'm looking for something.
Be nice to see that as a distinction for charities.
Yeah, if they actually
Transparency.
had
In order to achieve
yeah.
charity status, you have to show transparency in your numbers.
Well, and a lot of them I don't know about here, but in a lot of them in the States have to, but then if you're a church, then if it's a church, then all of a sudden they don't have to.
Yeah. You're doing Jesus' work. It's fine.
A lot of
We don't need to see the numbers. It's fine.
That's how Scientology became I love bashing Scientology. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, it's a good one to bash. They're all good.
The target's so big, though.
Yeah. Number 5, religion teaches helplessness.
I'm surprised the author didn't cite Christopher Hitchens here. You were born sick and commanded to be well.
Right.
And that it's always stuck with me. And that I think that's just wonderful criticism of what religion is. I think you're born human.
Well, that's just it.
And it's the human condition to actually improve who you are. And never stop.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, really.
That's the silence of agreement right there.
I do have one thing to say. There's also this problem that religion teaches you that your lot in life, no matter what, how bad it is, it's okay because the next one's better. That really burns
the whole
me.
the whole idea that suffering somehow brings you closer to God.
Start on a redemptive suffering.
Jeez, it's a bad one.
That. And it's that's a game. We're coming back to the Vatican. I mean, we can go to like the whole
and Mother Teresa.
You must suffer and show this amazing heroism. Wait a minute, person's dying and in incredible pain, and you're not going to allow them to end their suffering. Screw you.
Only to find out that once upon a time they touched a pig accidentally, right. And they still don't get no absolution.
No absolution.
Just nope, purgatory.
It's like insurance companies. They'll always find a loophole for you to, you're not going to get covered. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know why they don't just do what they want and call it God's plan.
I think some do.
It's all just an act of God.
Because if God designed it all, it's deterministic, and he said I would do it, so I'm doing it.
Yeah.
What point are we on? Number 6? Are we at the end?
We're at the end.
We're at the end.
Religions seek power, which I think is fairly obvious.
It's a prevailing theory.
Well, look at the power it has.
Yeah. And it's pretty, I don't know, it fights pretty hard to not let go of it.
Well, the thing is this is because, as we've had this debate before, because I'm a bit of a history buff and a bit of the anthro thing kicks in.
Good, because I wanted to talk to you about this.
Basically, the problem with, and it's because, to me, is religion, yes, it does seek power, because it's always combined with the structure of society's power. It's like, the fallacy of logic where you say the appeal to authority. This is an appeal to a higher authority. Of course, you have to listen to me because I am connected to God. And that's usually why in a lot of these grander organization or bigger as Europe changed over from the Roman Empire, the church came in to fill in that power vacuum, and that's how we end up where we are. So
right.
Is the religion itself the rise to power, or is it the people within the religion that's using it as a way to get to the power? I don't know. Well, it's kind of a mix. It's a mixture.
Yeah,
I hypothesize back to the original religion. Where did it begin? Who was the first god? Right. In the age-old civilization, what was the first time we established religion, and why did we do it?
Well, religion,
and I imagine it's from a hierarchy standpoint of saying, knowing that we are fallible, knowing that we can be killed, knowing that you can end a ruler, you can end a dictator, but you can't end an idea.
Honestly, I don't think any of it started that deeply. I honestly think it's all started with boom. What the hell was that bump that went in the night? And then that's how thing is this idea of God, I think, is a later thing. Polyism started way before monotheism. That's and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically what it was. Religion started as a way to explain the world before we could understand how the world works.
Right.
like one of the hallmarks of society or beginning of culture, and I've had this debate with other people, was the fact that people buried their dead. There was rituals for their dead. They gave them artifacts that had no use to them, but that was the beginning of culture, whatever that is. Like,
yes.
I mean, so that's where religion started.
With you. Thinking about it from a polytheistic standpoint, yeah, I
and
can see
then later
that.
on, somebody realized,
but
hey,
you can
wait
harness
a sec,
this.
I can
for
get
power.
these credulous fools to.
You know, I don't think at any point there was anyone that was really quite that cynical.
No,
but as groups,
Not like us.
not like that.
Well, that's because we have the luxury of looking at it backwards.
Yes,
but I think what you have is as groups, as society evolved, right? There is an anthropological theory how they kind of use evolution as you went from single family units to larger tribal units till eventually you start getting into kingdoms and yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Is as these evolved, that's probably where you start getting your shamans and whatever, your chieftains that got the magic stick or whatever you want to and that's how all that. It's just kind of religion and society evolve. This is my own thought on it.
Yes,
simultaneously, and the story builds on each other as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And I mean, that's how deeply intertwined it all is. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to now unravel.
Well, in prehistory, religious leaders were pretty much the leaders of the group.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it always wanted to maintain that hold on groups. But it's always been the religious who have sought to make religion the top of the food chain.
Right. They don't want to let go of that top of the food chain.
Religion itself doesn't.
Right.
I mean,
but the religious who do seek
to
have religion made powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, and it does, and it kind of, if you look a little bit into the history, and I'm no expert by any stretch, but if you look at it, that's where you have it where it's interesting is because like the difference of the evolution of, say, Christianity, big umbrella, because it did evolve with the collapse of the Roman Empire, and it fed into the creation of these other bigger ones. Because like the whole thing of Constantine converting and yada 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 yada, and it was a way to unify and whatever else.
Right.
Whereas say with Islam, there is no central church because Muhammad was always seen as the central figure, and as Islam grew, he was the central, not only just the central figure, he was the central, army leader in many of the battles as Islam spread, and then you got it. It's split up.
The religion of peace spread by the point of a sword.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's we can get into the ironies of all those different religions, but and then that's just it. Is each major religion evolved uniquely to itself. Like I don't think they can be separated. Like power and religion, they are combined. Yes. But I don't think
it is separating now.
Yeah, it is.
It is now. It is now in the 21st century.
I just see rather
secularism
than
is actually having a big effect.
Yeah.
Rather than religion seeking power, it's always been synonymous.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Until very recently.
Right. Yeah.
It's just holding on to it tooth and nail.
Yeah.
It is not letting go easily.
But the area in which God can hide
all along.
The area in which God can hide is getting smaller and smaller.
Absolutely. On that, I think I'd like to take a break.
Sure. I need to refill all my gin and tonic.
Sounds good. Back in 5, I guess.
Woo, 5.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Last episode, I put one of the songs from Tombstone Da Deadman's album, Cosmos, in it. This episode, the song is from the album Rise of the Infidel. Beyond Reason features quotes from Christopher Hitchens and clips from the movie The Devil's Advocate. The lyrics are scathing and intelligent and set to a beat that makes me move my head without even realizing it. I think Tombstone Da Deadman is rapidly becoming one of my favorite artists. I hope you enjoy it. Here it is, Beyond Reason.
The main source of hatred in the world is religion.
and organized religion.
These Christian apologists are full of intolerance and expecting us to swallow it, but I'm not allowing this. First they claim this is a Christian nation, and then proceed to try to merge their little doctrine into biased legislation, like we should give a damn about the God they praise, or their book of contradictions written back in the days. Some mythological, hypocritical bullshit that tends to distort shit, and then you wonder why we all ignore this. You're atheists to each and every other type of God. For all you know, the one you worshiping could be the fraud. Yeah, I know, we taking it out of context. That's what you would say next, like it's so fucking complex. Guess I'm an evil child of Satan, keep on mocking me. Average Americans do not want a theocracy, so keep your mysticism deep inside your mental prisons, and let us grown-ups make our own decisions. You can't avoid them, you can't ignore them. With every generation, they gon' spread the poison. The finger pointing and false anointing. They'll be rejoicing when everybody joins them. You can't avoid them, you can't ignore them. With every generation, they gon' spread the poison. The finger pointing and false anointing. They'll be rejoicing when everybody joins them. Giving nothing to your bloodthirsty God, but total disregard. It's hard to believe in this intergalactic peeping Tom that's got you all up in arms, but powerless to stop the bombs. People starving, it don't alarm him, he just moves along, claiming omnipotence, but that shit is ridiculous. You dying in his name, but he remains so inconspicuous. And if he needs you to defend him while you worship him, we open up your holy text so we can see the worst of him. He ain't even the first of them, cause man believed in many gods for many centuries. That equals up to many frauds and many wars that's believer against believer, screaming my God is the only one, so listen and believe us. I'm tired of your books, I'm tired of your lies. The rest of us caught in the crossfire trying to live lives. We oppose you, you cry persecution, but you got the majority, so aren't we just a nuisance? Get serious. You can't avoid them, you can't ignore them. With every generation, they gon' spread the poison. The finger pointing and false anointing. They'll be rejoicing when everybody joins them. You can't avoid them, you can't ignore them. With every generation, they gon' spread the poison. The finger pointing and false anointing. They'll be rejoicing when everybody joins them.
Who are you carrying all those bricks for? God? Is that it? God? Well, I tell you, let me give you a little inside information about God. There's nothing out there for you. Don't be such a fucking chump. Stop deluding yourself.
You know, I also love what Obama said the other day to the Republicans. Pass a bill. Just pass a bill.
Yeah,
yeah, they've become the party of no.
Yeah, it just underscores what the Republicans have been up to. They've just been absolutely stagnant, and they're happy with it. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out yet. Because people are going to finally notice, you know, what have you been doing?
Well, it seems to be with the Republicans is they like being in power for the sake of being in power. And then when they got ousted by Obama, because it was just like they got thumped, they just went, uh-oh, we got nothing here. So let's just, say no to everything and then see what happened.
Yeah,
and then
say no to everything.
And then because Obama was a little naive, when he should have used his power to get stuff done, he was trying to work with them, and they're like, nope. And then, then the midterm elections came in, and
I think that's
good luck, eh?
I think that's laying the groundwork to the destruction of the Republican Party, at least as it is now, because I think eventually people are going to smarten up and see that nothing is being done with these people. They're not interested in working with the Democrats. They're just interested in ultimate power. And as long as there's a Democrat anywhere, either it's in the White House or it's a majority Senate or majority House, they're not going to work with them at all.
Well, I think the problem is with, I'm no political scientist, but the problem with the Democrats seem to be the strength of the Republican Party has been that they can be united. They're united in their stupidity and their stubbornness and whatnot, but they're united. Where the Democrats don't seem to be able to.
Except for the Tea Party.
Tea Party's kind of their own special brand of nutty, but
yeah, it's special, all right. It's a short bus special.
I just don't see. I don't see a horse in the race that isn't a farce, especially in their two-party system, because it's both sides identifying that we're not them.
Yeah, and that's basically
and it's escalated to such caricature levels. Like I'm really having a hard time with politics.
Yeah, like I mean,
these days.
like if you look down there, like just this last midterm election they've had down there. I mean, yes, Republicans came in. I don't know how, other than one, they had the lowest voter turnout since 1930 whatever. I'm not even sure what the day was.
It's pretty ridiculous.
And plus the gerrymandering they've been doing and whatever else, like it was not a clear mandate. There was just a lot of people just saying, screw this, like.
What's that guy?
Yeah, there was a lot of blaming in terms of the Democratic loss on people that wouldn't vote. I don't know if it would be fair to do that. The low voter turnout has its reasons, and if people feel disenfranchised, they feel ignored by the process, they won't vote.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
The thing I found funny about the and
happens up here
all the time.
Well, the thing I found funny about the outcome down there was the fact that all the policies came out very liberal, shall we say, but yet they voted a bunch of Republicans into the office. It was kind of weird.
I would just love to see them if voter turnout is low enough that they disband both governments and start again until enough people show up to vote.
Do they?
Yeah. No, I would love that. I would love that. If
two guys showed up to vote.
In democracy, they should legally define that, at least 50% of the population has to vote.
In some parts in Europe, they make it mandatory by law. You have to vote.
Yeah, Australia does that too.
Yeah.
Is it on Australia?
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all because
not voting is a vote in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, true. I mean, I can kind of see both sides of
if I don't feel represented, right, by any of the parties that I'm voting for, forcing me to vote is
I went in and what I did the one election was I went in and I wrote none of the above.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a throwaway. It's a waste, but
yeah. No, I think it would be an interesting policy to disband the government if they don't get enough votes. Fuck that. Start over again. Try some new policies. See if you appeal.
It's kind of like they have to
reach. What we would do is you would just nullify the results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. And I don't mind that. It's a big problem. It's a big problem in Canada. How to get people interested in the process. I have no idea. It's not my problem.
I think at some point you need, like you say, I think you need parties that actually represent the people.
Yep.
And actually present policies instead of just attack ads and
appearances.
Yeah.
Well, it's become a farce.
Attack ads should be outlawed. They should be absolutely. I mean, I am so insulted by conservative attack ads. I mean, don't tell me why I shouldn't vote for the other guy. Tell me why I should vote for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't tell me that. Fuck off.
Yep, that's right.
Well, with those attack ads that have been coming up, that's why I kind of, in my head, I always think that.
But they work.
They do.
I think that's just. I think Harper wants to be Baby Bush. Like he's taken pages out of the Republican playbook,
right?
Just Canadianized it.
You need to read The Party of One. It discusses that.
Yep. Because
he actually has used the strategists that the Republican Party has used.
Right.
So, do you think it's actually an accident that these attack ads showed up?
Of course not, eh?
Nope. Sorry, it's the exact same guy that came up with the attack ads in the United States that came up with the ones in in Canada.
A parent of an LGBT son resigns from the Wild Rose Party over policy vote.
I only got one thing to say. What took you so long?
Yeah, eh?
He actually said that in the article that he kind of wished he'd done it
earlier. He
earlier.
said months ago. I'm thinking years. This is the Wild Rose Party. I've got a little bit of expertise with these jerks. This is the most conservative of the conservative. This split off from the Conservative Party of Alberta.
Right.
Because they weren't conservative enough. And it's amongst its members are people who are incredibly anti-homosexual and bigoted. You take your pick. And the leader of the party, Daniel Smith, said, well, who am I to, I want my people to speak freely, and who am I to dictate what they should think? And I'm like, you're the party leader.
Right.
I mean, seriously, if somebody was a member of the KKK, would you be okay with them talking about white purity? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Wait a sec.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be talking about that. That's going to kill us.
It's amazing. And there was on CTV News, Calgary, this past week, they had a question, one of these polls that asked, does the Wild Rose Party have an image problem? And I'm like, really? It has a policy problem. Not just an image.
Which results in an image problem.
Okay, let me go back a little ways. I can't remember when it was. Within the last year, Kent Hare, who is a Liberal MLA in Calgary, and I'm hoping to have as a guest on our podcast, put forward a private members bill, which would allow gay straight alliance organizations within high schools in the province of Alberta, and both the Wild Rose and the Progressive Conservative, I guess it's Conservatives now, Conservative Party of Alberta voted against it. There's a new one which has been proposed, a new bill with a similar goal, and the Wild Rose has said now that they're going to support it. Obviously, they know they have an image problem.
Yeah,
but one of the things in this is that the Wild Rose Party, has voted against a motion that would have made the affirmation of equal rights for every person, regardless of their religion and sexual orientation, part of their party policy.
Right.
And just left it at all Albertans have equal rights, privileges, and responsibilities, as if there's a freaking difference. Well, obviously, people within the party think there is. So, yeah, they have an image problem, but they also have a policy problem. And
it's almost as if they're fine with everybody having equal rights. They're just not fine with acknowledging everybody as equal.
Yeah. Remember, this is a very fundamentalist religious province.
Yeah, that's.
If you step outside of Edmonton and Calgary, you're in Jesus land.
Right.
This is Arkansas North in every way. I mean, we're talking problems with evolution in the classroom, you name it, and there's a problem.
You guys are worse than Saskatchewan.
Absolutely.
Well, Saskatchewan is Alberta's communist little, brothers. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Saskatchewan was NDP for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's never been that in Alberta.
Right, eh?
It's always been right of NDP. So, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely... Edmonton and Calgary are definitely oases of liberalism and non-belief, actually.
I've heard that's even the way it is in a lot of the states, where you get into the cities, then it's more liberal and...
Urban centers are always more progressive than rural.
Right.
But this guy who was he was the communications go-to for Wild Rose Party. He's got a son who identifies as being gay.
Yep.
Why would you? It's amazing that I don't know the details, but why would this person have become the communications person for the Wild Rose Party in the first place?
Right, eh? How did that even happen?
That.
Yeah, how did that even happen?
It'd be like me applying for the job of priest in the Roman Catholic Church.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, hey, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. It was never a good idea. So, I don't know.
Was this step down a result of finding out about his son's sexuality?
No, it was a result of this new vote
So it was the vote that affected this.
Yeah, the party they decided that treating everybody as equal was not acceptable or not okay with their policy.
Right, what you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Right, but
okay,
it was because of the non-change of policy. It's not changing to a less egalitarian policy.
Right.
It's the same policy they had the whole time.
We are restating our policy, which he was unaware of. Maybe.
Maybe.
You're not changing, so quit.
Okay.
Maybe when he was hired, they promised they'd change someday. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know the details.
Don't worry, we won't be dicks forever.
Yeah, the ultra-conservative party in Alberta is not going to be dicks forever. That's kind of one of those empty promises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is never going to go anywhere.
Just a break to talk about our sponsor, Audible.com. Audible.com is offering listeners of Brainstorm a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial membership. Membership gives you reduced prices on over 150,000 titles for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, and costs $14.95 per month after the first free month. I'm listening to Argumentation, the study of effective reasoning from the Great Courses lecture series. For your 30-day free trial membership and your free audiobook download, go to audibletrial.com/brainstorm. That's audibletrial.com/brainstorm.
We just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.
I found an article on oppusingviews.com talks about the gay gene.
The what?
Apparently,
the gay gene.
Apparently, they've isolated a gene that I don't know.
The idea that there's a gene for everything is a construction of the media,
right? Eh?
Right? There are there's genes for alcoholism. Here I am with my. No, I'm sorry. There's genes that might increase your chances of becoming an alcoholic by 1 or 2%. These are correlations. There are not genes for anything. There are genes for things. I mean, genes that encode protein.
Right.
That's a bit different than saying that there's a gene for a single behavior. I had somebody who was a Christian and anti-evolution say, "Well, what's the gene for walking upright?" Like, seriously?
So if that gene's not turned on,
there is no such thing.
We don't walk upright. Yeah,
that's not. Well,
for millions of years we were apes.
It's multiple genes interacting that produces upright construction of the spine. Okay, right. It's no gene for upright walking. There's no gene for being an alcoholic. There's no gene for being gay.
I just love that the gene for alcoholism synthesized for a purely man-made invention. That biologically,
it's media made. It's not even man-made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just science reporting gone bad.
Yep.
As it always tends to do.
Yeah.
I know less about the lander on the meteor than I do about this guy's shirt. Speaking of science reporting gone bad.
Science reporting used to be really good.
No shit, eh?
Yeah.
But science reporting now is done by journalists that have multiple tasks, and mostly they just grab the press release and just go with that.
Yeah,
and not do any further investigation into.
Well, I think the problem is with a lot of media in the last few years, probably last couple decades, is it's because media has become, instead of reporting the news, it's reporting news as entertainment. You have to.
And it has to be controversial.
Yeah. That is one reason why I walked out of my broadcast journalism course.
Right.
when I was sitting down and they were making me correlate news stories and structure a news presentation based on the principle if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, that's something that everybody knows. Mm-hmm. And just sitting here and going through these tragedies of the day and trying to assign a point value to them that I may move them up the list, that I could get the most sensational thing out before the first commercial break. Right? And you're going, what the hell is this? Really? I need to entertain people. I can't just tell them that a thing happened.
No.
It has to. The structure has to be because most people will stop watching the news after the first commercial break, after the first half hour or so. They want to see the big top stories, and then getting into the minutia of it all. Of what is more tragic? Is it more tragic that 400 people died in Syria, or is it more tragic that a little girl was hit by a bus today? Which is the one that leads? And when you're having to parse that down, you're really doing some. I mean,
how do you even do that?
You can't. That's not really a thing. You're relying on your teachers to mark you based on your ability to parse those things intelligently. But philosophically, I can't. It's all shit. It's all shit, wall to wall.
It's equally bad.
Equally bad. Both things are bad. Bad things happened.
Bad things are bad.
Yep. And they always want to close the news with a human interest story.
Of course.
A warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
One of Bart's people from The Simpsons.
Yeah, Bart's people. Exactly.
People.
That's exactly. It's a great piece of satire.
Now I got to splice in
a
clip for Bart's people. Thanks a lot.
We'll bring you more on this chalk shortage as it continues. And now, Bart's been looking into that alleged ham salad from yesterday's school lunch.
No, I haven't, Lisa. Because I went out with a camera and did a different kind of story.
Bart, I really think we should...
It's about a man. A simple man. He's one of Bart's people. Joe Banks, 82 years young, has come to this pond every day for the past 17 years to feed the ducks. But last month, Joe made a discovery. The ducks were gone. Some say the ducks went to Canada. Others say Toronto. And some people think that Joe used to sit down there, near those ducks. But it could be that there's just no room in this modern world for an old man and his ducks.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing.
Smithers, you think maybe my power plant killed those ducks?
There's no maybe about it, sir.
Excellent.
Marge, can I get a duck?
You already have a monkey.
Can he get a duck?
No.
One man, no ducks. Lisa?
That's kids' news. Good night.
My big problem is balance. I hate balance.
False balance.
There's false balance. If there's a lot of stories where balance actually, there's two sides to a story, as long as it's a subjective matter. But when it comes to science and science reporting, there is no balance. It is science is biased towards the truth. We've developed this methodology over hundreds of years, and when some idiot journalist, I'll give you an example. CTV News is just rife with crap when it comes to medical science reporting.
Right.
When they were back when the H1N1 vaccine came, or not vaccine, the actual H1N1 virus came, they had a panel discussion. They had somebody from the University of Calgary. He's the head of the Department of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases, along with a freaking homeopath. There's your panel. Seriously?
Perfect.
Beautiful. So you got these two people on equal platform, even though one is you could actually talk about evidence, the other is going to sell you horseshit crap. Is that balance?
No.
No,
it's not.
That is actually diluting the truth by offering bullshit.
It's irresponsible.
That wasn't intentional.
Actually.
Yeah. It is irresponsible journalism. I'll give you a second example, again from CTV News. There's this, you will not believe this. There's this technique for getting people with food allergies to be non-allergic to things called the Nambu-Japad allergy elimination technique. Now, the first step is to find out if they're allergic to this thing. So they get the person to hold a sealed vial of something that they suspect is an allergen, and then they do the arm pulling technique. And this, if it's weak, if you, it's a subjective thing where if you pull down on the arm and it's weaker, that must mean that the person is allergic to that thing. So, okay, that's part of it. Then what they do is they take these sealed vials and they surround you with these sealed vials so you have no exposure except for the frequency and energy of the substance.
Magic.
You're exposed to it and then you get desensitized to it. And I'm just waiting for the first fucking idiot that thinks that they are finished with their peanut allergy and takes a bite of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and keels over.
I can't wait.
Seriously.
But when they do the arm pulling technique, are they requiring them to remove their magnetic wristband first?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you don't want crossover in the vibrations.
No, the magic can fuck itself up, right?
Yeah.
This is
you don't want false positives in your test.
But this is the part of the reporting that is amazing. There was no balance whatsoever. They didn't talk to a single member of the medical community about this. None. Nothing.
No, because it's not news if they do.
That's the thing. It's entirely bullshit.
The point of the news isn't to inform you; it's to make you watch it.
Right. It's selective balance. So in one case, they have the balance, in the other, they don't. What the hell?
Well, in one case, they can sell the balance and make you watch it, and in the other, balance will just eliminate the story.
They don't actually want the doctor on the show. The doctor is boring. They want the insane spectacle.
But they present it as if it's true.
Yes. Well, because it's news, they can't say that they're biased. They can't say, "Hey, this guy's a fucking nut job. Listen to him for a couple of minutes." They can't say that. We're the news.
Well, that would appear biased, but it's not.
That's the truth. Yeah. That's the
But when I complained, I got back, "You're not going to believe this. We stand by our story." The most incredible cliche in journalism.
I need a list of their allergies.
Unbelievable. It was just amazing. Yep. This kid had a food allergy. And so this kid was apparently rambunctious and not listening and having trouble making friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's being a kid. That's not a food allergy.
What was I allergic to?
I was also allergic, apparently.
I think I still am.
I know I'm allergic to.
I still am.
I know I'm allergic to fists. They induce swelling.
Allergy elimination technique right now. Stat.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm also allergic to stupid people. I don't think I want to be surrounded by them.
Do they have an EpiPen for that?
Yeah, I think it's called rye.
Yeah.
The main source of hatred in the world is religion, and organized religion.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. All the relevant links will be posted in the show notes at brainstormblog.net. If you want to keep up to date with the show, come on over and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/brainstormpodcast or follow us on Twitter at brainstormpod. This show was recorded in Roman Empire Studios. To listen to the rest of the recording session, keep an eye on our Patreon feed by becoming a patron for just $1 an episode. I'll produce ad-free episodes when we reach 5 patrons. Any new patrons get a shout-out in the next episode. And when we reach 10 patrons, I'll start producing bonus content. If you can't afford to help us on Patreon, go to iTunes or Stitcher and give us a rating and write a review. They both help a lot. We still have a free shirt up for grabs for the first person to give us a rating on Stitcher. You can go and buy your own Brainstorm gear from cafepress.com/brainstormpodcastgear, or just go to our website and click on the Cafe Press link. If you've got any comments, criticism, praise, or accolades, mail us at mail@brainstormblog.net, or go to the website, brainstormblog.net, and click the Contact tab. We will respond to your email. This week's podcast shout-out goes to the Literally Figuratively Speaking podcast. They've got a great description on their Facebook page, so I'll just read that for you. A bi-weekly podcast covering news and opinions on atheist, liberal, and feminist issues. Mo, Patrick, and Brian sit down and talk for about an hour. They talk about news, topics of interest, and stuff that just makes them mad. The show is centered on themes of atheism, feminism, liberalism, and skepticism. They describe themselves as sardonic, sarcastic, witty, and occasionally they may offend you. The last episode they put out was about as recent as ours, and when they put out an episode, I make sure to listen to it. They're one of my favorite podcasts. I wouldn't call them so much an atheist or skeptic podcast so much as I would a liberal or a progressive podcast. But there's a lot of crossover with atheist and skeptical topics. They have a lot of fun, and it really comes out in the show. So that's this episode's podcast shout-out, the LFS cast, or the Literally Figuratively Speaking podcast. I'll post the links in the show notes and make sure to check them out. Thanks again for listening, and have a good one.
Stop deluding yourself.
Well, that exhausts my my actual topic
Your
list
list of articles?
My whole
All right.
4 articles that I had picked.
I'm not sure if I talked about the Wild Rose history while we were on air.
Oh, maybe not.
You could probably put it in there.
Sure.
If you were recording.
Were we recording? Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
They didn't land a spaceship on a comet using anecdotal evidence, and they didn't calibrate the rate of descent using focus group.